Hey Astra, is the Golf GTE the better car? No, you're the most beautiful hatch, you're the most beautiful one. Yes, Opel and Vauxhall have decided to make the sexiest or sportiest version of the Astra a plug-in hybrid called GSe. And GSe stands for Grand Sport Electric. So far it stood for Grand Sport Einspritzung, which is injection in German, but now it is this electrified version. A little bit more power and some sporty accentuation, soon more to that. First of all, here in the front, especially in the contrasting to the white exterior color, the blacked out Opel logo, or the Vauxhall correspondent logo of course, and here also with the matrix LED, the so-called pixel light. Overall, I think already from the front, stunning look, isn't it, here for this compact hatch? And of course, it's also available as the Estate. We're going to show that to you very soon as well. You are watching Autogefühl with Thomas in 4K, full screen and full length. And the length here of the Astra is 4.37 m or 172 inches, rather short here in this compact segment. The GSe, this sporty version, comes with black 18-inch wheels, and we also have black contrasting side mirrors and the roof right here. On the technology side, the suspension sits 10 mm lower actually, and it also comes with frequency selective dampers. That's not a real active suspension you can set with driving modes, but it still adapts to the road surface, so to keep this sportiness and comfort in balance. Looking forward to that. Also the ESC, the electronic stability control, is ruling later here with this GSe version. Everything optimized for more driving fun. Looking forward later on that in the driving part. I really have to say, the Astra here in this new generation is, to me, maybe the most beautiful compact hatch on the market right now. Who would have guessed that I say something like that? I mean, look at that. Also here, the very slim taillamp. The design is really very fluent and consistent. Big Astra lettering right here in the black contrast. And then you have this special new GSe logo right here. Top speed, by the way, this one, the GSe, goes 235 km an hour or 146 miles per hour. So pretty impressive for that. And they also changed some, the brakes are reacting a little bit earlier, for example, crisper steering input. And again, the suspension also set on the sportier tone, not on the sportiest tone. That's not the goal of the vehicle. Again, we'll find out more when we drive this vehicle here very soon. Looking forward to that. And turning indicators, well, obviously they thought, yeah, let's put it modern, but more like Tesla Model 3 style. It looks cool, but super tiny, right? I mean, I think it should be a little bit more obvious, shouldn't it? I prefer the ones in the front. This is really obvious, isn't it? Replacing the daytime running light. Yeah, that just looks awesome indeed. And also check out here the side mirrors. Let's fold them out. Here, the integration of the turning indicator right there, that's also a lovely detail. Heading towards the interior, the key, yeah, unmistakably Peugeot or Citroën, because the 308 is the platform brother. Door closing sound, solid, pretty cool indeed. Inside of the doors material here in the top part is also somewhat soft touch and a nice structure. So good build quality here at the inside of the doors, like that. Then also in the GSe, the microfiber surfaces here. This could be a little bit softer, but you have a contrast stitching, and hardpack is just this area than here. Then you can see here the Opel steering wheel is also different from the Peugeot 308. Has this Opel compass, so to speak, like a compass styling. So a little bit tiny here in the lower part. These here are actually real buttons to press, so not too much #capacitive BS, that's good. And then these seats, they are also special. With the GSe, you always get the microfiber or Alcantara seats, and they are also so-called AGR proof. That's a special ergonomics seal. And the seats are also different than from the Peugeot 308. But are they also any good when taking a seat in them? Oh, wait a minute. Look at that here. We also have the special GSe logo on the seat. So yeah, we are the channel of details, and I always appreciate when car manufacturers pay attention to detail, because we car enthusiasts are the ones that are enjoying all these details every day when we drive the vehicles. And then here, the seating position is actually quite cozy and comfortable. So these sport seats do a good job of being sporty but comfortable at the same time. The only thing is I would criticize for tall people is So I'm 189 or 6'2", and headroom is actually totally fine. This one, the one without the panoramic roof, headroom is fine. But the space for your knee, especially for the right one. So when I pull the steering wheel out and then here to the middle console, there's just little space for my huge knee. So I either hit it at the steering wheel column or here at the center console. This is also quite hard. So this is maybe something they should have made with a softer material, or maybe like give a little bit more space. Other than that, it's actually very, very good seating comfort here also. Interior overview. What I like is, once again, the structures here, the structures inside the dashboard, that's pretty cool. 2x 10-inch screens in this one carrier, and besides the very base versions, they always have a magnesium carrier, so it's also stiff then and doesn't make any sounds while driving and so on. You still have a manual volume knob, that's good, and also the climate unit is still manual here, hotter, colder, and also here 2-zone SE. So this is also different to the Peugeot 308. This cockpit here is more straightforward. Also volume control at the steering wheel, for example, way more straightforward and in a way more conservative than the Peugeot ones, but also easier to control while driving. So above the first set of hotkeys here, well, they could be a little bit better aligned, you know, they don't seem to be like in 100% perfect line. You see, like some is a little bit higher than the other one. That's not perfection. But here, these ones here, second set of hotkeys, and then for example you have the steering wheel heating or the heated seats. It's not too easy to press it, but I appreciate that there are separate buttons for that. Good resolution of that camera here, fake drone view from above. This is the front view camera. When I put reverse gear, then you have the reverse camera. What's actually a great feature is that here drive mode, going back to reverse, when I'm going into reverse mode, the side mirror folds down. This is what you just know from maybe from premium vehicles. And it's not only the passenger mirror, also the driver mirror here. The same tech is applied right here that I can better see what's going on with my wheels. This is here the PHEV specific gauge. So you can take a look at the energy flow, everything here over the front wheels, for example. And you can also charge that while driving, but that's of course not really efficient. Then you also have a climate hotkey where you can control more of the climate unit, but I'd rather do it just right here. But you could also do it here in the screen. That would be possible actually. And then there's always a home menu button. You can get it back right there. It's quick enough, this system, not the best overview. And here, this is then the Android Auto integration. So today I'm showing you the Android Auto integration. Most of the time, of course, used here for Google Maps. And yeah, that also appears here quite responsive inside the system. Digital instruments, simple and clear to read. You can switch it here, trip meter or temperatures. And in the lower left part here, you can see the power or charge meter when you do some recuperative braking. And here at this moment, the prediction for the electric range is 32 kilometers. So that's of course even lower than expected. So you cannot expect too much electric range out of this vehicle. And the head-up display, sometimes I feel it's looking a little bit squeezed, you know what I mean? Yeah, but at least it's there and also has some kind of GPS integration. I love the exterior, as I said, and some cool interior features, but look at that here now, this button here to open this small box. What have they thought about putting this in? See how weird that looks and how badly it is integrated. Look at that, how loose it is. Why would you do that? And especially, look at that. I mean, this is really a very interesting point. This button here is the worst. However, the feedback when you push it is quite nice. And then look at that, how smooth this one here opens. How well it's dampened. This is like 100,000 euro car experience. The closing sound is amazing. But the button is like, I don't know, $10 toy car experience. So like in one small feature, you have the worst and the best. Yeah, and the rest of the middle console is the weakness of this vehicle. High gloss piano lacquer, quickly looks not so nice. This one in here, this is a new vehicle, it looks already old. Then you slide this one open, well, there's an inductive charging pad and then two USB-C chargers. They look like USB-A, but it's actually illumination. Then there's a C port inside. And the same also here for the cup holder coverage. I would just always leave it open. It just looks better when you directly see the cover. And this again here, the adaptive function is quite nice indeed. Then the automatic shifting lever, a nice integration here. This reverse, this drive mode, and then here the drive mode selector that I can also put in the sports mode. Later tell you more about that. Then we have a small cubby hole here for the key, for example, or for whatever else. And then there's a nice leatherette cover here for this split armrest. And then we have smartphone space, or here, just something more. Very interesting design detail here, citing the Opel Monza actually, so a past model here with this design element right here. Looks quite cool, doesn't it? Then at the rear doors, you see there's not too much space, we already know that, but you have the same nice Alcantara styling also for the rear seats. Isofix at the outsides each. Let's take a seat. Nice microfiber also the inside of the doors, but hard pack here on the top part. Then let's get inside, and yeah, it will get a little bit cramped, at least when I'm driving with 189 or 6'2", and you see here there is no legroom at all here in the rear. Yeah, this will be a little bit better in the estate, and of course when you lift the seat up, then I also fit better in this recess here with my knees. And with 4.64 m or 183 inches, the Opel Astra GSe or Vauxhall Astra GSe is also available as the Sports Tourer or Estate or Wagon. The difference is that not only length, also the wheelbase is 6 centimeters longer or 2.5 inches longer, and that is actually ensuring better legroom in the rear. This is very crucial. You remember that in the hatch version it got very, very close, but here now we have a little bit more space. So let's check it out. And I could hardly sit in the hatch here. It's still not the longest legroom, but at least I'm not getting all the way squeezed. So indeed, more legroom here in the rear. Headroom wise is also a little bit better. We have to say that this car in general, it's not the longest in each, in the respective segment, and the legroom was not the focus of this vehicle. As for engines, you get a normal diesel or a smaller petrol engine for the normal Astra. That's windy here. But this one here is the 1.6 petrol plug-in hybrid. 4 cylinders, 1.6 liter of displacement, and 225 horsepower is the power output. 7.5 seconds is the acceleration figure. And now I know why cars have hydraulic struts. Some have, they don't have one here. Yeah, I think it should have been quicker definitely, because 7.5 seconds for a performance plug-in hybrid version, I think that's not enough. Or what's your opinion on this one? Everything set on the front axle, both the combustion engine and the electric drive, so it does not have all-wheel drive. That is, for example, for the Grandland GSe, the SUV brother. On the passenger side, you fill up the petrol. On the driver side, there is the AC charging then, battery around 12 kilowatt hours, and that gives you a pure electric range of some 50 kilometers or 30 miles. Oh. Jetzt weiß ich, wo der Tinnitus her ist. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Astra GSe. And what have they done? Fine-tuned the steering, more direct braking, and also suspension, of course, 10 millimeters lower, and also the frequency selective dampers. So not an active suspension, but the dampening is acting in a way that it brings more sportiness while not losing comfort. It's a very interesting system indeed. And let's try it out here on these winding corners, winding roads. And so far, it's quiet from the tarmac here. The tarmac is actually quite rough, but at the same time, not too much noise here inside. And steering, let's see here, the small degree angles do react. So I have precise feeling indeed. And when I react a little bit more, try to shake up the vehicle, the suspension is not super stiff sporty, but it doesn't shake up too much. So I think they found a good everyday sporty comfortable driving compromise. So indeed trying to serve both once again. And In the normal hybrid mode, it's actually a very smooth driving experience, and it feels, really good in the flow. So the whole chassis and so on, everything feels very well connected, vehicle and driver and so on. And indeed, the brakes are reacting a little bit faster than with the normal versions. That's also quite good. So I really like suspension, steering setup here and so on. It makes a nice, fun driving experience, exactly what it is for. Not too extreme, but sporty enough. And talking about sporty, already in this normal hybrid mode, both powertrains are being used. I can also go to the pure electric mode. So that would be possible, for example, when you are in a special emission zone where that would be mandatory. That might be coming up in future time even more often or so on. Or for example, if you want to start all silent and without any emissions in your basement garage or something, and let's see, I'm going all electric here. There's also acceleration possible, just pure electric. That works. However, sportier, of course, when you go to the sports mode, and then power of both drivetrains is being used. And I can stop just for a moment and then accelerate it out. Let's go from 0. But that's 80. So you see, reasonably quick. To 100 kilometers an hour, it would be 7.5 seconds. That's the official figure. It's not super fast. It's also not slow. So this one is really something when you don't want that sporty extreme, but you're rather searching that compromise without losing any comfort. And that is very well given in that one. The Astra in general doesn't try to be a sports car, although from the outside it looks pretty cool indeed, especially in this black-white combination we have here today, also with the 18-inch wheels and so on. But even though you go 80-inch, you don't lose much comfort, so I'm absolutely fine also with the wheel choice here. Having a lot of fun driving this car here in southern Spain. And these winding corners, of course, are doing a great job in showing that to us. One thing I always have problems with is when you have a vehicle with that heated windscreen. Some see it, some don't. I see it pretty much, so I wouldn't try to get a version without it. But some say like, hey, I have it in my Ford or something. They have been famous for that for 10 years and have never really seen it. I don't know. You get used to it maybe a little bit. It's even worse when you have like a cloudy white sky. When you have blue sky, it's definitely a little bit better. But I'm actually pretty happy with with the feeling of how it drives. They really stepped up the game. What Opel and Vauxhall also achieved here, yes, they are using the same platform of the other PSA models, or meanwhile this whole Stellantis corporation. So the Peugeot 308 would be a direct platform brother, for example, and they still have this kind of emphasis that the car feels a little bit different. At some point you hear and feel it, for example, the way the head restraint is attached, or like when you use the turning indicators, the stalk columns, when you see the blind spot monitor and so on, there you feel this platform brotherhood or sisterhood. But then again, with the steering, especially with the suspension setup, they try to go more into, like a more German engineering way. That's what Opel want to do, and in a way they also achieved that. Of course, no matter if you go for the Opel or Vauxhall version, they are built in the very same plant in Rüsselsheim, Germany. It's just a branding thing then here. But so far here on these winding corners, having a lot of fun. And I think the really good thing about this is you keep the comfort, and you can also use this silent plug-in hybrid drive if you want to. About the fuel economy, it's always hard to say really, because you can just say it depends. It really depends on how frequently do you recharge. When you use both drivetrains together, you can save a lot of fuel. Here, for example, going downhill now, then we can have regenerative braking, gain some energy back. And of course, when you leave the car charging cable just in the trunk, won't make too much sense. But if you really use that and, for example, drive electric to short trips inside the city and so on, and then when you go on longer trips, use the engine, then it makes sense. And about the shifting pedals, you would use them also in the sport mode, and then you can actually shift through D5, D4, D2 here, so you can shift down or up yourself, but they don't seem to be like really responsive or something. It kind of feels a little bit off, so I would rather not use them. Maybe it's good to have them when you're going downhill for a longer time, that you can use the engine brake. At the same time, we have a plug-in hybrid here, and then you can also first fill the battery, so that won't play a big effect. Rather enjoy the automatic transmission here and just let it cruise. But what about the Autobahn? And acceleration onto the motorway, 60 to 100. Plop, that's it. And that was the combined sport mode. So in the sport one then, combination of the combustion engine and the electric drive. Everything here in this case via the front axle. And it's kind of windy outside today. Here I'll also go in the tunnel where it's always a little bit louder. But so far we are quite happy with the noise insulation here at 1 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour. So it's actually reasonably silent. And suspension also here on the motorway, I think they found a good compromise. You know, yes, it's 10 millimeters lower than the normal Astra, but they didn't set it on a tone saying, oh, this is like the super sports vehicle, super rough and boy racer, whatever, you know. No, they still set on a comfortable note. So it is sporty enough, so to speak, but there's no lack of comfort with that suspension. Here also in the tunnel, I think it's also still good from noise insulation. You don't hear too much difference actually. So being on the motorway here and also with these nice Alcantara seats, yeah, it's maybe not the best vehicle like for when you're really even taller than me. That might be a problem then as for long-term comfort. But so far, Cornelius is even taller than me.
Yeah, a little bit.
So how are the seats?
Fine.
Okay, when Cornelius says that, that means something indeed. That means something, yeah. So, yeah, and he is a little bit taller than me, yeah. So that's obviously fine, yeah. Here on the motorway, lane changing, car doesn't shake up or something, so that's actually fine as well. Yeah, it feels actually also fun on the motorway. And that's the thing about this vehicle. It has always been a vehicle that is doing all the different use cases and not only one purpose, and the GSe also fulfills that. So we have to get off the motorway right here, and yeah, it's actually a lot of fun to do these lane changes. Really calm also here, for example, when there's like this bridge or something, there's something on the road or so the suspension reacts very well to that here also on the motorway. And if you want to compare, the biggest competitor, this is the Golf GTE definitely, or if you want to see more of the Astra, of the non-GSe versions, tune in here.